Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dice Cast. I am Russell Song, and with me I have.
Fishman.
When last we left off, Aquans and Jonas had begun to discover an increasing degree of paranoia surrounding the citizens of Lyria,
Hmm.
as it seems that the uh, dragon that had been perusing the local environs around Lyria was no longer a secret. Managing to
Yeah,
avoid being uh, asked to call upon for immediate aid against the dragon for at least a moment. The party, however, was embroiled in a series of disappearances, ranging from disappearing people to disappearing supplies from warehouses, and the disappearance of a couple of cows belonging to one particular stone giant family, which the party had met previously.
that was the important one we had to recover.
Yes, it would have been very awkward going to a toddler who is larger than you, who can pick you up and probably cause spinal damage that you couldn't save her cows. After a thorough investigation, the party came to the conclusion that followed a trail into a series of caverns on Lyria's coast, and they found an old adversary of theirs having taken up residence and was parasitizing quite literally off of the local populace of Lyria and was responsible for all the disappearances. These were the leechlings that the party had encountered previously before they arrived in Lyria. Clearly, a school of them had decided to winter near Lyria at the expense of the local population.
Good feeding ground.
Their attempt to liberate the captured people,
No,
cattle,
cows.
and supplies was successful, though not without suffering a considerable amount of harm in the process.
Went through some stuff.
Yes. Needless to say, after they managed to return, free the people, return the cows and supplies to their respective locations, and inform Aldrich of the situation, our heroes returned to Lyria for a much needed rest.
Yeah, we didn't go far, but we went through a lot.
No. So, probably not too much longer after we just wrapped up with the conversing with Aldrich and the Watch to get the all that sorted out. Now that our job is done,
Yep,
we are basically returning to Lyra, and we are coming back in through the main gate.
yep.
And I assume we are going to be heading towards the Crested Kingfisher, possibly for rest.
Uh, yeah, yeah. I can't see just doing anything else other than that at the moment.
Mhm. Unless it was something like really quick.
Well, yeah, I might stop off at Rosemary's and see if she has anything. But for the moment, I think just supper and bed.
All right. So, as we're heading through the streets of Lyria towards our inn, just to make a perception check for me, will you?
I do not have perception. My owl's probably not out, so 13.
13. All right. That's enough to get a general feel for the atmosphere at the moment. As you're
Mm-hmm.
just watching around, you can see it's very similar to what we encountered before we set out our investigation. Lyria is still very much in that sort of general paranoid state at the moment.
Everyone's still agitated.
Yes. To be
Uh,
fair, it's probably only been a few hours. That what, like you said, it was we didn't go very far, so it was probably very quick. But it's probably only been since we set out about 4 hours.
yeah, that's true.
That being said, now that it was later in the day, a lot of people tend to be not be out on the streets quite as much, and they tend to be either hurrying home to wherever they're or heading out to wherever they're going. And you can see at least a few groups of people, and there are people traveling definitely in groups now, larger groups
Yeah,
than we're used to,
make
heading to
bigger
various
targets.
places. Yeah,
Make bigger, better targets, I should say.
yes. Well, it's just a old survival technique that is ingrained in human instinct is to strengthen numbers.
Yeah.
Even though that'd be very useless against a dragon. But that's besides the point. And one place you see one type of place you see a bunch of these groups heading towards are definitely local taverns.
Oh yeah. They'll drown their woes.
Yes, or they appear to be terrified, so they seem to be in the need of liquid courage.
Yeah.
Yes, and you're certain that will incite them to make wise decisions.
Oh, of course. Drunk people always make the best decisions.
That, to be fair, we are heading to our inn, which does technically have a bar,
Yeah.
but we
Oh,
are going there to sleep.
no, no, no. Supper first.
Yes. Okay. You also notice that I am dragging a little bit behind. They're just behind you. Clearly, the recent experiences have worn me out a little bit.
I said, "You need a hand? You're feeling a
No,
little under weather? You are
no,
older now."
no, I'm fine. It's just been a long day. It
Yeah.
was not an easy one. It wasn't. We were not prepared to be attacked by one of those things again.
Yeah. Lots of little mini earthquakes we had to deal with.
Yes, and lightning bolts
Yep.
and other things. In fact, the only thing we didn't have to worry about was them sucking our blood.
Yeah, we managed to avoid that altogether so far, which is really nice.
Yes. All right, so it's about this time we actually make it to the Crested Kingfisher. All
All right.
right, as we go inside, it is quite possibly the scarcest you've ever seen the inside. Sorry, this is as empty as you've ever seen the Crested Kingfisher.
Really? I was expecting it to be the other way around and have to fight for a seat.
No, no one seems to be coming to this particular inn. To be fair, this is an inn as well as a tavern, so by and large, a lot of the people who regularly stay here are people who are obviously staying here in rooms, so regular patrons such as ourselves, and most of them are adventurers.
Hmm.
Hmm. But
Okay.
we do not see any members of the two other adventuring parties that we know. We don't see
Well,
any members of the
that's
headhunters or the giant slayers.
that's not unusual. I mean,
No,
we're
they may
all
be out
players
looking for
right now.
work.
Yeah. Or on a job or whatever. All right. Does
So
anything besides the lack of people strike me as odd about this place?
now there's only a few locals who definitely come here. They don't stay here, but there are at least a few locals who frequent this particular drinking establishment regularly. We see sitting at the bar.
Yeah.
And apart from the local staff, we do not see anyone else that we know, apart from Cathra and her, obviously, her various employees.
All right.
So the good news is you can easily find a table.
Yep, let's do that and get some food down our throats.
All right. So we order the off of the menu. They actually do have a menu here.
They do. Oh,
Yes, we
okay. Cool.
it's not a very large one and it varies from day to day, but they do have one.
Yep. I'll get a bowl of whatever is hot and hearty.
Yes. Well, good news is it is around supper time, so we're on relatively on time for that sort of thing.
Well, it had to happen eventually.
Mhm.
All right. Eat. It's winter. I'm gonna get some nice hot tea.
All right. Yeah. I was gonna say the two options for hot drinks here are probably hot tea and mulled wine.
Yeah, tea it is.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm not a teenager anymore. I got that reversed.
Yes. We still don't drink.
Yeah.
We are probably the only adventurers in the
Yeah.
entirety of Dungeons and Dragons that do not drink.
True enough. Like
However,
that.
we did not sign up for adventuring to bow to peer pressure.
All right. So, how
Note
might
to
be?
self, make a short of that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
so we only have to wait a few minutes before our food is brought out to us because there's three other people here who are customers at the moment. So our food and drink is here relatively quickly.
Good. Eat, drink,
Yeah.
retire.
That's not how that saying goes, but okay. All right.
That's how it's going today.
Sorry.
That's how it's going today.
Yes. All right. As we're heading, so we head up to our room, I presumably.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we head up. We go into the door. We go-
Yep.
Can I just get a perception check from each of us, please?
Well, I apparently have all my blood in my belly. I am not very perceptive at the moment.
That's a bit. That's better. One second.
Bias is chewing on my finger.
For those who are wondering, Tobias is our new cat. Yes,
And
he likes doing that.
I don't. I shouldn't call you over, but you probably will show up at some point.
Yes. Anyway, returning to the game.
Yes.
It's just like, and just as we enter the room, I just suddenly notice the door catches my attention a little bit.
There's something odd about the door.
This is basically just as you're opening the door, and I just stop you for a moment to like, that
I'm gonna
is
this. Sorry, this is getting
strange.
my attention. I'm gonna pull up my glasses of minute seeing,
Yes.
and I'm gonna examine this door
Yes.
with some sort of intent.
Yes. And by the way, in case you're wondering, despite the vagueness of that, I rolled a 21 total.
Okay, so I have a 24 on investigation.
Okay.
Nope, someone's gonna come say hi. Hold on it. Come on over. Come on over. Hold on a sec. There we go.
There you go. There's a new kitty cat. He doesn't
Yep.
like being picked up, though.
But he does like dice,
Yes.
unfortunately. So it's gonna make battles very interesting. Hey, not my pen. I need that. Actually, scratch all that. He likes everything.
Yes. He's very curious. Anyway, so returning to your check, because otherwise we're going to be here all night.
Yes, I put him on the floor for the moment. We'll
Yes.
see how long that lasts.
All right, so you rolled a 24.
Yes.
It is unusual what you're looking at, and it's just tiny. It's basically, this is the point, is like you're almost like noticing tiny little things which are just, it's because you rolled so high, you're noticing some things are a little different about this basically the on the other side of the sill of our door into our room is just something is tweaking that it was a little off, but there's nothing really visible apart from the fact that just like it just seems a little odd.
As in, someone has done something to the door, someone's opened the door, someone's
Right.
forced the door.
The door has not been forced or broken, and the door was locked.
Yeah.
However, both of us are coming to the conclusion that someone has been probably tampered with the door,
Yep.
and quite possibly just the area inside the door.
And I don't think it's trapped though.
Nothing, not by any mundane means that you can detect.
Do you have detect magic? Do you actually have any spells left?
I do not have detect magic prepared, but I can ritual cast it if you want.
Well, something about all this has obviously caught our attention.
Yes.
So why don't we have take a minute or two, and you can detect magic on the door while I examine it a bit further.
All right. Okay. So while I sit down in the corridor and take out my spell book to ritual cast detect magic,
Yep.
which takes 10 minutes, obviously.
Mhm.
In that time period, at least one other group of basically people who are staying at this inn, who you assume are adventurers, because as near as you can tell, almost everyone who stays here is an adventurer.
Yep.
One of them basically comes through the hall, goes past us, looks very quizzically at what we're doing, and then proceeds down the hall to their room, which is at the far end.
I said, check your door. Ours seems to be tampered with. No, you can't eat my pen.
Can I just have you roll a persuasion check? Won't be with advantage, but it's not very high because we're clearly doing something.
4.
4. Three of the four people who just went by seem to ignore you. The last person who went by seems to stop for a moment and actually goes over. Based on the look of the individual, they may be some sort of rogue or someone else who is used to thinking about traps and that sort of thing,
Yep.
and quite possibly might be
I'm
taking
distracting you here.
this a bit more seriously.
He isn't. He doesn't care. All right, he's down again.
That
All
was
right.
not what I was saying. That was not what I was saying.
No, I'm taking it seriously.
I was talking about the individual you just spoke to.
Oh, the individual's taking it a bit more seriously. All right.
All right.
Is he going to go examine his door?
They head down and they seem out there. We're nearly 17 minutes into the video
And we have done nothing.
and we've done nothing.
Play with a cat.
Yes. So, for argument's sake, I'm going to say my detect magic spell is ready at this point.
Okay.
This goes on much longer. We'll reach the 4-hour mark before anything gets done.
I've had such scenarios like that in the past.
Yes. All right. I basically described to you as I look in with my now magically enhanced senses that there is an active abjuration spell drawn out basically in front of the on the inside of our door.
Abjuration.
Yes, I recognize the spell because I can cast it. It is alarm.
Someone alarmed our
The
door
inside of our, yes, basically.
so that they know when we come back.
Presumably that is the purpose.
All right. Say goodbye. Yeah, say goodbye. Bye, people.
You're putting him out now?
Oh, yeah.
Bye, Tobias.
You go. Otherwise, nothing will ever happen.
No.
Okay.
This is the opposite of our previous cats. He's fine being in the room. He just wants to play.
Yeah. Young and playful.
Yes.
I am going to summon my owl
Yes.
back into the world on the other side of the door.
All right. So you were going to summon your owl.
In the
Basically, as
room.
far as I can tell, it's just a line in front of the door has been set up. You can technically ward a 20-foot square area with the spell, but that whoever has cast the spell has not done so.
I am going to summon her on the other side of the door, away from the spell.
Yeah.
And I'm going to look through her eyes to see what's going on in the room.
All right. Perception check with advantage to see the inside of the room.
Oh, I rolled a 2 and I rolled a 3 plus 3, so 6.
All right. You see me, whose eyes are glowing faintly blue.
Oh no, on the other side of
the other side of the. All right. All right.
I better not be seeing you.
You see the room.
Nothing. No, well,
Nothing seems out of place from that roll.
nobody is standing there with a loaded crossbow or anything like that.
No, nothing catches your eye.
Okay. I tell you, well, the room seems to be empty. We have an alarm. I do not have Dispel Magic prepared. I do have a scroll of it. It seems like an awfully big waste.
I do have Dispel Magic prepared, but if I remember from where we finished in our last session, I was mostly tapped.
Yeah. I had a couple spell slots left, but nothing that's I don't
The
have it.
only spell slot I'm pretty sure I still remember having from our last session is my fourth level spell. What is a fourth level spell slot possibly?
You can dispel magic at fourth level.
Yes, it does seem a little bit of overkill to dispel an alarm, though.
Yes, we don't know who set the alarm.
We
They
do
obviously
not.
they opened our door.
I will point out that the effect of dispelling this alarm may will basically be almost as effective as tripping it, because the alarm will go away, but whoever casts the spell will realize that the alarm has been dispelled.
All right, we have two choices. Ignore
Yes.
the stupid thing, go in and do our usual,
Yes.
or get downstairs and ask, what's her name again?
Cathra?
The Cathra
Yes.
for a new room.
In the middle of the winter in Lyria, where where adventurers who winter here basically. So
Yeah,
there may not be a new room.
exactly.
Option three would be dispel the alarm spell.
Well, it's an alarm spell. It's not going to hurt us.
No, it cannot do that. It's basically, as best as we can tell, someone has probably set this up here to tell when we're in our rooms.
Yeah, but that is giving information to someone who may not have our best wishes at heart.
No.
We've run into a few of those already here.
Yes. I'm just saying if I dispel the alarm, it's going to have
Oh, there's another option. We
a
can find
similar
something nice.
effect.
We could go to another inn for the night.
That is an option if you really want to.
The problem is, I mean, this is a convenient inn.
Yes, it is.
I'm gonna go back downstairs, gonna talk to Cathra.
All
Cathra.
right. All right.
Um, this may sound like an odd request, but do you have any empty or available rooms for us?
Suppose there's nothing really I need you to roll here. I feel like I should get you to roll something, but deception doesn't really fit this. But it's the only thing I can think of. Like, unless you're trying to just tell her outright there's something wrong with the room.
Just a feeling that I think it's time to change rooms.
All right, that was a low roll, so she may not pick up on that. All right.
Is
Uh,
there is he?
she says that there are no rooms for rent at the moment, unfortunately. She does
Okay.
she does seem to be a little like noticing that it's like, is there something wrong with your room? She asks.
I tell her that someone has opened our door
All
and cast a spell on the inside of the door.
right. She's suddenly a bit more serious.
Yeah, nothing dangerous, but
Fair, we don't know if we've been robbed. We haven't been in the room and actually looked yet.
well, you can't cast a spell from the opposite side of a door.
No, alarm is usually not a spell that is prepared. It's usually just a
Uh,
ritual cast.
so,
That
like I
takes
said,
time.
someone wants to know when we return. Anyway, I'll let you know. No
Okay.
extra rooms. I guess we'll go back upstairs and I'll go in the room.
Okay. So you enter the room.
Yeah,
Well, one thing you notice as you cross the room is there isn't suddenly a loud bell ringing or other alarm adjacent sound. So this is clearly set up as a silent alarm, a mental one.
I figured that one out.
Yes.
Otherwise, it'd be really pointless.
So I enter the room after you and I close the door behind us
Yeah.
and lock it.
Yeah. Set up your own alarm. All right, it's bedtime.
I'm
We
just gonna
know
check
the
something for one
problem.
second. Yeah. I don't know if I can.
What? Set an alarm on an alarm door? I'm pretty sure you can. That's what you're looking up.
That is what I'm looking up, yes.
No, you can set as many different spells on that one door you want.
Yeah, there's nothing in this that says that alarms cannot overlap the same area.
No. Uh, I can't imagine why anyone would want to. So, I mean, this is probably the one time in all of D&D that this has come up.
Yeah.
So,
So, you want me to set up an alarm spell?
probably several.
Yeah. Well, I can take the time to ward our door and all the windows into our room.
Yep.
And it take half an hour.
And I am going to set up the hut.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to have our familiars out.
Yeah.
And that's basically the end of it. We're definitely going to keep watch tonight, but we always do anyway.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to do before bed, or is that it?
I burned through an awful lot of stuff,
All right.
so I don't really want to do anything really anyway.
All right then.
We've eaten, so let's see what happens.
All right. Well then, we'll get ready for bed, and you can take the first watch.
Why not? Hopefully I roll better than I have been, twos and threes and ones and that's a 19. That's better.
That's very good.
I guess I decided to pay attention tonight.
All right. So your watch passes uneventfully without anything obvious happening in the room with that roll.
All right.
You're keeping quite the vigil. So you're fairly certain nothing happened.
All right. Before I have to use toothpicks to hold my eyelids up, I wake you up and then I hit the hay.
All right. And I will take my one. Not as high, but still good. All right.
Do I wake up in the morning?
So morning comes and you awake.
All right.
All right then.
Nothing seems to have happened.
Nothing seems to have happened over the course of the night. At least not to us.
I am going to thoroughly investigate the room. I'm going to bring up my little glasses again. And
Yep.
I'm going to double check, make sure nothing happened during the night. Ugh, must have some sleep in my eyes. 16.
All right. There does not appear to be any change from the previous evening.
I assume the alarm spell, well, actually, both alarm spells are gone by now.
Yes, in all likelihood, the other one probably would have faded first.
Yeah.
All the alarms and your hut spell have faded at this point.
Yep. All right. I am going to roll some dice here for my stuff.
Mhm.
Oh, finally. Fully charged wand of magic missiles.
All right.
Oh, get back here, you. And now I have 2 charges on the Ring of the Ram.
All right. So your magic items are recharged.
Well, not fully,
Hmm.
but the wand is.
Yes.
All right. Let's go have breakfast.
Yes.
Because I do want to go to Rosemary's and I do want to spend some time today. I want to try brewing my first superior healing potion.
Yes, because we burned through quite a few potions yesterday.
And I've come to the conclusion that regular healing potions, which are fine for NPCs and stuff, because we don't really want to give them too much, they suck for us now. Graders and superiors.
They're still going to have their uses. We shouldn't turn our nose up at them.
No, not gonna, not keep them. I'm
Hmm.
just going to be making better ones, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Yes.
All right. Breakfast. Eat.
All right. We go down to
Wake up.
breakfast.
Yep. Keeping my eyes open, by the way, because obviously someone has got some interest in this.
Well, This morning is the almost the polar opposite of last night. We see a great many patrons here this morning.
And well, I am going to have my owl on my shoulder.
Uh,
I'm going to see if I can perceive any of these that may have us kind of an interest in us. In I don't know. Well, I'm just going to roll.
okay.
This is a real waste. A pair of natural 20s.
Okay. All right. So your owl is keeping a very keen watch as we sit down and order our breakfast.
Looking for people who might be taking an inordinate amount of interest in us.
There's still some general looks over towards us a little bit, and also towards your owl, because you have an owl on your shoulder,
Yep.
which is not something that is normal in a tavern.
Oh, come on. There's lots of adventures around that
Yes.
have familiars.
It also isn't necessarily something you do on a regular basis, though.
No.
So it is noteworthy. The only other thing you notice is even in here, with seasoned and trained adventurers, you do recognize the headhunters and the giant slayers who are
Yep.
sitting at separate tables. That there is definitely an air of less paranoia, but more alertness to everyone.
Okay.
It seems even our fellow adventurers have become aware of the presence of the dragon in surrounding Lyria, and everyone is taking a degree of caution now. Especially
Uh,
since, in theory, anything that you and I can figure out about a dragon, most of them could probably figure out about a dragon.
yep.
So they
Oh,
are
I'm
well
gonna say
aware of
hi to them.
that. Sorry? Yes.
I'm gonna say hi to them.
All right. You wave to the two groups of adventurers we know.
Yep.
They return, but that's basically about it. There's definitely more of a old business approach at the moment atmosphere here. Everyone's a little on edge, but it's different than the rest of town. These are trained professionals, and they're just they're eating quick. They're eating with some expediency and definitely paying a greater deal of attention than is normal.
The only difference between seasoned adventurers and the general population is if they've done their research, they know exactly how dangerous this dragon is.
Yes, because as I said, uh, we know these two adventuring groups. Anything we can figure out, they can figure out, and we've figured out this dragon is probably using some form of shapeshifting.
Yeah.
As far as we know, it has not yet infiltrated Lyria. However, no one's taking any chances.
Yeah. This is the kind of thing that you got to be careful of.
Yes,
All
this
right.
is the sort of
After
thing where carelessness gets you killed.
after a very paranoid breakfast, let's go back up to our room.
Yeah.
And I want to try making a superior healing potion. And a
All
pair
right.
of natural 20s is wasted.
Yes.
Ah, would have been so nice.
Yeah. Are you regretting making that perception check now?
It's random.
It is random. There's nothing saying that you cannot just roll another natural 20 now.
True enough. All right. I'm going to take out the magic cauldron.
Yes, the alchemical cauldron you picked up on the Isle of Fog. I think this
Use
is the
it.
first time you've used it since we got
Oh,
that.
no, I've used it before.
No.
I stopped preparing
Enhance
enhanced
ability.
ability, so now I use it.
All right.
I am going to.
The nice thing about this cauldron is it doesn't need a fire.
Yeah, they probably don't want us setting fires in our room.
We
Okay,
probably don't want to set fires in our room.
I am going to try and make a potion of superior healing.
All right. So the DC for that is 20.
Yeah, I know.
You need the medicinal herbs, the mandrake root, and the hydra salts.
Yep.
So make
So
sure you mark off one of each.
yep, I'm going to. I'll do that now, I guess.
Yeah.
So just so I don't forget.
Yes.
And let's see what I get.
All right, roll. It's a DC 20.
Well, one's a natural one, one's a 4. All right, first luck point.
Where's the luck point?
Oh, we're up to a 7.
Second luck point. This is starting to sound very familiar.
That's an 18. My pluses are more than enough to take it up to 20.
All right. So, after a
Come
interesting string of luck while you were making this potion, you can add to your character sheet 1 potion of superior healing as you finish it off. Finish it.
Yep. Happy about that.
Yes.
I have 2 more. Well, I got that extra large piece
Yes,
of magic,
the extra large magic root, which was basically good for 3 uses.
so I still have 2 uses left on that.
Yeah.
So,
And by
but
my
I'm not
count, you
going
should
to
have
press my
4
luck on.
Hydra assaults left.
Yeah, I'm not going to press my luck on that.
Yeah.
I mean, it took a lot to get that done. Natural, or sorry, a 20 is a high DC. So, all right, that's enough for today.
All right. Is there anything else you want to do?
Yeah, I want to go to Rosemary's. See
Okay.
what she got kicking around.
One other thing I point out we haven't done yet is we've used both of the
Oh,
scrolls we got
that's
from
right.
Xanathia.
Wow.
I used the Ice Storm scroll last time and regretted it, partially.
Oh, kidding. That was amazing. I love that spell. Or the
I,
scroll.
I didn't love getting blasted with my own spell.
We were just on the edge.
We still took damage.
Eh, you got cold resistance.
We both had cold resistance.
Yeah. All right. First I want to go to Rosemary's. And then yeah, we should head to the college and see if she's around and report.
Okay. So where do you want to head first? The
Rosemary's.
Rosemary's? All right. So you can go on to the next graphic because that's Rosemary's.
Oh. Have we done? Oh yes, we have done a graphic for Rosemary's before. Never mind.
Yes. Oh, never mind. That's the
That's
Crested Kingfisher.
we didn't even bother with that one. There's Rosemary's.
There's Rosemary's.
So how is the little pixie? Probably worked off her feet, considering all the tension in the place.
Yes. This is not entirely accurate anymore.
Has been bought out, has it?
Well, the shelves, which have books and other magic items on them, are still there. But we do notice that behind the counter, where a large number of magical reagents, spell components, potions, and scrolls were on display, and third broom of flying that we did not purchase, those have all been bought out, as far as we can tell, at least a good amount of them.
Wow. Probably a bad time to go and ask her if she has any more mandragoot, I guess. But I will anyway.
So you do enter. There is no one in here at the moment. Then again, it is still relatively early in the morning.
How long did it take me to do the potions?
No, I suppose that's right. You did have to take time to look. We're probably into the afternoon then now, so never mind.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, it does seem to be a little empty in here at the moment. And when we come in, we see Rosemary fly in from her back room, which is where she does all her work.
Hey, Rosemary, how you doing?
She takes the goggles off her, just very tiny goggles. She's clearly
Very
been,
tiny.
yeah, she's clearly been working at a point in time that she hasn't had to deal with customers, basically, as far as you can tell.
Yep.
She greets us and has us come over, and she says, "Well, you two might be in for a bit of disappointment based on the things that I have for sale at the moment."
Yeah, kind of figure you might have been overworked with all this dragon rumor and paranoia that's going around.
She says, "Yes, ironically, the long sword of dragon slaying is one of the few magical items I still have in stock because no one can afford it."
Yeah, no one can afford it. No one actually wants to go up and try and slay a dragon.
No. Yes,
Uh,
we can definitely see a lot of the high-end magic items are still present.
well, I'm going to ask the question anyway, Rosemary. Do you have any mandrake root in?
Says I'm going to go take a look in the back. I might still have some in
Okay,
stock.
cool.
Yeah. She comes back carrying, for us, a small bundle, for her, a relatively sizable one.
Okay.
She puts it on the table and unwraps it. There are 3 small mandrake roots in there. And
All
I'm saying
right.
very, very small. You're pretty sure they're still good for 1 dose each,
Yeah.
but they are small enough to be wrapped up in a bundle like this and then stored.
All right.
Because
How much is
that's
going to set me back there, Rosemary?
well, I think the price we've been using so far is 50 gold per mandrake root. So
Thank you.
150 gold is the price.
Yep. Cool.
She wraps
Thank
it
you very
back up in
much.
the bundle and it lets you take it away as she puts the gold away for safekeeping.
And I know this might be a long shot, but do you have anything interesting in that's different than the last time we were here?
She says, "Not at the moment." She says, "I have been working relatively busy in the back and and also up here in the storefront for the most part.
Okay.
Because I might have some more interesting things in the next week, possibly, depending on how long it's going to take me to get some of these projects done. 'Cause- However, I'm also being requested to do some work for the academy recently, and that's also taking up into my time."
Okay.
Right.
Always doesn't hurt to ask.
Right.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for the mandrake root.
Yeah.
And stay safe.
We put the mandrake roots away.
Yep.
We leave Rosemary, who immediately, once we're no longer customers, goes back into the back room to resume whatever she's working on, presumably.
Yep.
And we go back out into the streets of Lyria.
Yep. And head over towards the academy.
Yes. All right. We notice that it's that it is overcast at the moment.
Okay.
It also is a bit warmer than usual. You're looking up and you suspect there actually might be rain in those clouds, not snow, based on the
That
temperature at the
is
moment.
not unusual, but it is what, February now?
We are basically into the middle of winter, so it's not unheard of, but it is noteworthy.
Yep.
Yes, it is entirely possible we might have to worry about freezing rain at some point.
You don't.
No,
I do.
no. So you want to head towards the academy now.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, you got the graphic with that here too?
No,
Oh, okay.
we head into the academy, mostly because I did not know if we were actually going to be going there or not.
Yeah.
All right. So we head into the research academy, and we want to look for Xanathia, who is the head of enchanting, and the ones we experimented with those scrolls for.
Yeah. Hoping she has more.
All right. So you are going to be flagging down basically a courier or someone inside the academy for all intents purposes and requesting that they go find her. So I'm just going to have you roll. We're going to make an investigation check. That's going to be a straight roll.
13.
13. All right. That roll is going to take into account the fact that it's probably going to take a little while to find her.
Well, yeah, it's a big place,
Yeah.
and she's probably busy.
Yeah. So we are kept waiting for a few hours.
Oh, crap.
We're going to say 2 hours.
Okay.
But at the end of that, Xanathia does come up and comes up to us and sees that it's us and rushes over to see exactly what it is we want. She's presumably interested in the results of her scroll experiment.
Yep. I greet her really well. Goes, hey, love those scrolls, by the way. and then I'm going to explain to her the variability.
All right.
They both worked really well. The Scroll of Ice Storm really, really worked well. The area of effect was immense.
Well, some might say too big.
It was fine.
All right. So you describe the results of the experiment, and she does take out basically for all intents and purposes a notebook and her own pen, and does actually start taking down notes based on what you said.
Yep.
Clearly, she's taking an interest in this experiment as she is presumably her own personal research.
Yeah. And I'm so impressed with them
Mm,
that I definitely would like to continue participating.
mm. Well, she is thrilled about that news.
Yep.
Thrilled and possibly somewhat surprised, you think?
Hey, if we couldn't take a little bit of danger, we wouldn't be in this business.
Again, I have a slightly different outlook on that, but okay. But that's mostly due to the fact that I took a whole bunch of damage before the ice storm scroll went off.
Yeah, yeah, major saving throw.
Yes.
Okay. Um,
All right, so I assume you're going you that part and point is you want her to notify us the next time she has more of these scrolls prepared. Clearly, she doesn't have any at the moment because she was waiting for the results on these.
it doesn't have to be those specific spells, but yeah, whenever you have something of interest, send a courier or whatever, and we'll come running because I think it's a very interesting line of research.
All right. So we part ways with her,
Yep.
and it's probably getting on into the evening at this point, based on
All right,
what we've done today.
head back to our inn
All right.
and have supper.
All right, we're heading back to our inn. We're about halfway there, passing through the inner ring gate. It does start to rain.
Hmm. Does
There,
this seem to me to be normal, or is there some magic thing happening here?
now who's paranoid? Roll an Arcana check.
Uh, 18?
18. As far as you can tell, based on the temperature and the usual things that happen during winter for weather, this is fairly normal as things go. You don't think there's any real obvious magical effect to this, but you do realize this is probably going to be a substantial rainstorm, probably.
Well, I got my big leather hat on.
Yeah.
I'm good.
We're also not too far from our inn at this point, so
True enough.
we will probably not have to walk through most of it.
Well, that and we're not out in the wilderness somewhere having to actually hunker down and put up with it for a whole night.
No. All right, so we head back to the Crested Kingfisher. It does start to rain quite strongly, and you suspect this hasn't even finished yet as we're coming in the door.
Yep.
You suspect we're probably in for a proper winter rainstorm.
Okay.
So probably gonna be a lot of rain, and there's a good chance that if the temperature drops tomorrow, it'll all freeze.
Okay. I'll be sliding. You'll be laughing at me.
Yeah. Right.
After supper, I
It's
really want to take our time and investigate our door.
right. Well, before we do that, while we're waiting for our supper to come, it is perhaps not unsurprising considering what the weather is like outside at the moment, but almost all of the adventurers whom we know for a fact take up basically residence here for all intents and purposes
Yep.
are here
Everybody's inside because of a crappy night.
because no one's really going to want to do any real work or involving adventuring at this precise moment unless they have to, and clearly they do not.
Yeah. I don't blame them.
All
All
right,
right.
so we have our supper.
Yep.
Go up to our room, and you want to investigate.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Hmm. Only a 14. Oh, sorry. Yeah, 14.
All right. Well, as we head up, it is much more obvious this time that someone has has that someone has uh, messed around with our door this time.
Okay, this is becoming habitual here now.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's more evidence of tampering on the door.
Yes, in fact, we think that there's a few, as you're looking around, you can spot a few nicks on the lock itself, as if someone was trying to pick the lock, but failed to do so. In fact, after a few more investigation, you find half of a broken lockpick.
I'm gonna pull the broken lockpick out and
Mm-hmm.
go down to Cathra
Yeah.
and hold it up. Guess what?
So, hmm. It's unusual. No one reported anything earlier. She says,
Have you seen any strangers going upstairs?
right, let's see if she does remember any strangers going up. That's a natural 20. As yes, there was an unusual individual uh, who went upstairs. He uh, says, I didn't think of it much at the time, but he paid for a meal and drink. He didn't ask about going for staying the night, but he did head upstairs. I thought maybe he was visiting someone at the time. She goes, but now you think about it, he did come down a bit shortly after he went back up and left.
All right.
She goes, I didn't get a really good look because based on that relatively average humanoid height, he says.
Yeah. Well,
He was he was sort of dressed to in a manner to probably, now that I think about it, conceal some of his features a fair bit.
yeah. Well, doesn't really answer any questions, but we know that we have someone who is interested in us for sure. Well, I already guessed that anyway, but we also now have, I think, an opportunity, I think, to follow them, but not today.
Okay.
All right. Is
I
there
said,
another alarm spell on here?
do you want me to check again?
Yeah, probably a good idea.
All right. You take 10 minutes. I cast Detect Magic.
Yeah.
I said, no, I think our visitor was stymied when they were unable to break into our room this time. There's no there's no alarm spell nor any other active spells in here at the moment.
All right, I'm gonna search for traps. Pair of threes. I'm gonna take these die, put them over there, and get two fresh die.
All right, so 3 plus your investigation, which I believe brings it up to an 11.
No, it's +7, isn't it?
Oh, that's right. You're one lower than me. Your intelligence is one lower.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, so 10. Even with that, based on all the other evidence we've seen, we're fairly certain that whoever was trying to get into our room this time failed to do so, and therefore it doesn't come as too much of a surprise to you that you don't find any traps, even with that low roll.
I will unlock the door. And let's go in.
All right, so we go in.
Yep.
It's our room. Seems as we left it.
Yeah, check it out anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, these dice are working better so far. 22.
All right. Same as before. Again, we're both coming to the conclusion that whoever was trying to break in this time failed to do so.
Yep.
Possibly by the noise, someone was alerted and left, and the individual seems to have left in a relative hurry, which probably explains why they left the half of the broken lockpick.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I know what I'm gonna be doing tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. The only other thing we notice is the fact that there's definitely heavy rainfall outside at the moment. We can hear it on the roof.
Yeah, well, we're not going anywhere tonight anyway, so
No.
lock the door, set up the alarm, set up the hut, set up our watches.
Yep.
It's your turn to be first.
Yes. Well, I did not fall asleep. That's a good start.
You didn't roll a natural one, in other words.
No. However, it is a low roll, and I don't, so I'm probably not too alert for my watch. Nevertheless, I wake you for yours.
All right. 19.
19, right? You are much more alert. And nevertheless, the night goes by uneventfully.
Cool. That means the Ring of the Ram is now fully charged.
All right, so we wake up in the morning.
Yep. All right.
All right,
Go down
so
and
a
have
new
breakfast.
day greets us.
Yep. My plan for today is to first off make another potion.
All right.
And secondly, um, afterwards, I want to go out, cast invisibility on both of us,
Mhm.
sneak back in, and wait to see if our friend shows up again.
All right. So,
So,
should we start with the potion?
potion first.
Yes. Oh,
Cauldron.
I have one question. Are we going
Yep.
down to have breakfast before we have the make the potion?
Yes.
All right. We do go downstairs.
Yep.
We order breakfast.
Yep.
Before breakfast is brought to us, the door to the inn opens,
Yep.
and a individual dressed in relatively fine looking clothing and a cloak designed for traveling in necessarily bad weather
Mm-hmm.
comes in and is out of breath. This individual is a tiefling,
Okay.
and he is definitely out of breath, and he's scanning the room and sees us and starts heading in our direction.
Okay.
As you look
Before
at
we
this,
eat, right?
what?
You said this is before we end up actually eating?
Our food has not come yet.
All right. And
If you want any more details, you can make a perception check if you want.
yeah, so let's see what kind of insight basically on whether or not he looks like he's angry or just curious or anxious or whatever. Um, 13 for insight.
All right, that's it. Well, he's not really hiding anything. He's very well dressed. In fact, you suspect this individual probably is a resident of the inner city.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, you've seen civil servants in Lyria dressed in a similar manner to this, apart from the obvious, basically, for all intents and purposes, raincoat.
So, a well-to-do civil servant.
Yes, and the look on his face is that he's pleased to see us. He's heading over his way. He looks like he hasn't got much sleep recently.
Hmm.
And he seems quite pleased to see us, but there's also a look of almost desperation is probably a little bit too strong, but it's like bordering on that almost.
Well, he's very anxious about something.
Yes.
All right.
And he does make his way over to our table.
Okay. Well, I stand up as he approaches.
All right.
Hello, sir. You seem a little on edge.
He says, yes, I was hoping I could speak to the two of you on an important and delicate matter concerning, it says, quite possibly the future of Lyria.
Well, let's not put a too fine a point on that, I guess.
Yes.
Okay. I take it you don't want to do that here.
Um, he looks around and he says, well, he says, provided we talk softly, it probably won't be too big of an issue. He says, besides, it's not going to remain a secret for much longer, I suspect.
Okay. Have a seat.
All right. So sits down. To this
Yep.
point, that our food is brought to the table.
And asks if he wants something to eat.
Yes, he does. He puts in an order for something, and
Yep.
we'll wait for his food to come. And he's about to get into his narrative. The door to the tavern opens again, and two individuals come in.
Why am I waiting till his food comes? Why couldn't I just eat now and be rude? All right, two
Well,
more
he was
people
about to
come.
start his. He was about to explain why he was coming here.
Yeah.
You could eat if you really want to.
Well, all right.
Anyway, that's not the point. The door opens.
Yep.
Two individuals come through, and we recognize them, and we also recognize their office. Obviously, they are both dressed up in the full regalia of the White Knights.
All right. Do we recognize the individuals?
Yes, we do. We recognize both of them. One is Aldrich, whom we are very familiar with at this point,
Yep.
and the other is a younger woman, also human, with very light blonde hair, and has a rapier at her belt instead of Aldrich's longsword.
Is that?
We remember her as being introduced to us as Thalia
Yeah, I was
previously.
going to say. Is that Thalia? All right.
Yes, we've though young, she is also an officer in the White Knights. Though we do
All
not,
right.
we haven't interacted with her too much directly. We did meet her once.
Okay.
They're both looking into the room. Spot us. Spot our visitor. Thalia
Yep.
points in our direction. They start heading in our way.
Is this table big enough for this many people? Or do we need to move to another table?
A couple of chairs might or stools might need to be pulled over,
All right.
but clearly something important is going on.
Yeah. I get up. I shake Aldrich's hand
Yes.
and Thalia's too, for that matter. Nice to see you guys.
Yeah.
I
They both
assume.
we shake hands as a matter of course. Aldrich says, "Yes, I wish we were meeting. We're not always meeting under such unfortunate circumstances."
I don't remember the last time you showed up and asked for a game of chess. Yeah, there's always some sort of crisis.
You also are able to tell that he definitely also looks like he has not slept very much lately. You
I don't
cannot tell
know.
from Thalia because you do not know her very well.
Well, in the entire time that we've been in Lyria, I don't think that Aldrich has had a good night's sleep.
No, he is a workaholic as far as you can tell.
Yeah. All right. Um, have a seat. Order some food. Let's hear what this is all about.
Right.
Oh,
Thalia
by the
says,
way,
"What?" Thalia speaks up first and says, "We came to discuss something with Damocus here." She indicates the tiefling.
all right.
Says, though he seems to have been, says, just though he seems to have come to seek your aid. She says, as opposed to any official aid that the White Knights or the Watch might be able to provide. She says. And in response to that, he says, I've already told the Watch everything I know on the matter. He says, these two have proven quite helpful in the past in resolving these issues with efficiency and discretion. He says, as this is a diplomatic matter, I thought it might be important that their skills might be employed to bring this to a quick and discreet solution. He says. She says, very well. He says, well, then says, if you will forgive me, I will begin my narrative now. He says, and I can tell you exactly what has transpired, he says, in the past several hours.
All right. Let's hear it. Is
Says,
anyone paying attention to this besides us?
roll a perception check. And so will I.
19.
All right. I rolled better than that. We both are keeping an obvious lookout.
Yep.
I mean, yes, there are people looking over. A
Yep.
civil servant has just come in a great hurry, come over to our table and was about to begin discussing something that he was in a hushed voice.
Yep.
And then two white knights came in. So clearly, yes, there's a bit of intrigue, but it's more curiosity, like, huh, what's going on over there? Like it's like an interesting party is showing up in a
So
restaurant. That's about
no
it.
one is obviously trying to eavesdrop on us.
No, we're fairly certain of that. It's just casual glances over and maybe some genuine curiosity from almost
Excellent.
everyone else in the room, but that is about it. It's
Okay.
also fairly clear that some of them realize that something official is going on.
Yeah.
All right. So Damocrus, the tiefling, says,
Yep.
I I came to discuss with the two of you, says, in hopes of you might be able to aid in the investigation and recovery of a very important diplomatic treaty that was stolen the previous night.
Okay. Treaty
The,
with whom?
the treaty is between the people of Lyria and the people of the Elven lands to the north.
Okay.
Says, given the current situation surrounding Lyria at the moment, uh, someone thought it would be a good idea for us to seek aid from old allies in dealing with the current threat to Lyria. He's obviously not coming out and directly saying it, but he's implying the fact that this is meant to be about the dragon.
Okay.
Because as far as we can tell, it's the only thing that would warrant this level of.
Well, no, there's also that army.
Yes, that also might go into it.
Yeah.
However, last night says the treaty was stolen from within the council chambers itself.
Okay. So someone with some skill.
Yes, it says the treaty was being written out by a close friend of mine by the name of Hector. Says he's been working in the with the
Hmm.
civil servant in the council for quite some time, and he was given the responsibility of writing up the initial draft of this treaty, which we were going to be sending to the Elven lands by by a very well trusted and secret courier, and we were waiting for the response. Says the treaty has in fact been uh, having to have been written over the past week because there's quite a few things in detail. As such, Hector needed to stay late at the council chambers for
Okay.
several nights. It says
This
it
may sound
is.
like a stupid question, but why can't he just make a new copy?
It says, well, it isn't so much the fact that the copy is. Well, we could quite possibly, but the issue is it would take a considerable amount of time, and because the copy was nearing completion, it details many of the policies and strategies that Lyria was considering to deal with many of the current threats, potential threats to our populace. If it fell into the wrong hands, it could be dangerous to us.
All right.
It's at this point the Thali speaks up. Also, she says, Hector's disappeared.
Is that like a minor detail or is that important?
Damocles says, yes, I was getting to that.
All right.
She says, yes. Uh, he says Hector's aunt, the Lady Noelle, who is a very prominent member in Lyria's council, was the one who gave him this responsibility and charged him with drawing up and writing the draft. This not only because he had proven reliable, but obviously, if this treaty was a success, it would help secure his career.
Okay.
So, as I said, he was required to work long hours on the draft of the treaty, often staying late into the night, sometimes even past midnight, as he had to the previous evening.
All
So
right.
very few clerks stay as late as he did. I'm one of the few who did, and as such, we came late in the evening together, in the afternoon together, and we stayed late until we headed home around the same time, just every evening, just as a simple matter because, well, it's dangerous to be out on the streets at the moment by yourself.
So I assume that when not being written or worked on, this treaty was kept under lock and key.
Yes, inside Hector's personal quarters, and as far as I know, himself and the Lady Noelle were the only ones who had copies of said key.
All right.
This is On the night in question, we were working late again. Says, however, Hector came into my office briefly,
Yeah.
but because he said the long hours were beginning to leave him rather tired, so he rang down to the commissionaires and ordered some fresh coffee to be sent up just before midnight.
Yeah.
However, it was nearly an hour later when he came back into my chambers again and said that his order had not arrived and he was going to step out just down to the commissionaires to see exactly what was taking so long.
All right.
I says obviously at this point that is as much as I knew until he returned. Says a bit later with the commissionaire himself returning to his chambers, and the next thing I heard, apart from the fact that they were both in a bit of a hurry, and I heard some frantic searching of the room, is Hector let out a cry of what I can only describe as despair. I naturally was curious about what was going on, so I ran into his chambers and I attempted, with the aid of the commissionaire, to try and calm him down. However, it soon came clear that while Hector had stepped out down, not for very long, I mind you, says, but someone had entered his chambers and stolen the draft of the treaty.
Okay.
The three of us, clearly deciding that immediate action was called for, decided to search the council chambers for the thief, but we came to no avail, unfortunately.
Yep.
At some point during our search, I stepped out to. We split up. I stepped out to search and find some watch officers to aid in our search, and it was during this time period that Hector seems to have vanished.
Okay.
And we do not know if he was taken prisoner or he simply, in his grief and despair, seems to have gone off of his own volition.
Okay.
He says, and I says, I've aided the watch as best as I can throughout the night, well into the early morning in the search. He says, to no avail. We've looked through the council chambers and the surrounding areas, but Lyria is a large city. The investigation may take some time. And as such, I thinking that we might need some additional aid. So decided to come and see the two of you.
All right. Is this all right with Aldrich?
Aldrich says, as far as I can tell, this matches from what I've heard so far. Says the
Not just
reason we
that,
sorry.
but us being involved.
He says, yes, any aid that can be granted to assisting Lyria recovering this treaty would be of considerable importance. Not to mention the disappearance of Hector. Any aid that can be garnered in finding his whereabouts would be good. So he says yes. However, Thalia speaks up at this point. Says, however, Damocus, we're going to need you to come down to the barracks with us. Given the nature of this, I know it's normally outside our jurisdiction, but the council has agreed that the official investigation on Lyria's behalf will be carried out by the White Knights. And we're going to need you to have to come down to the barracks and give your official statement to us.
Okay.
He says, very well. It says, you might want to, it says, go directly to the council chambers if you wish to find, and speak to Lady Noelle, who is overseeing things there. She can provide you with more information and let you see the scene of the crime.
Yep, we'll do so.
So, as quickly as they came, our three visitors depart, leaving us at the table.
I eat breakfast.
We eat breakfast. It's cold by this point.
It's fine. We've eaten cold food before. That I can just order more. Actually, I'll order more food. I want my food to be hot. We're eating a ton of cold food. Oh, well, after they leave,
Yes.
whisper to you that there's one other thing that they probably didn't mention, that Hector could have stolen.
Yes. However, he would need to be a considerable actor to go and to come up with this. Quite the imagination to invent such a drama when he could quite easily have simply taken it discreetly.
Yep, I know. It's just a possibility.
Yes.
Remote, I know, but
Oh, I imagine there's going to be quite a few suspects in such a case.
yes. The problem with us doing any kind of investigation in this format, we don't know Hector, so can't do a search for him.
No.
We have not seen this treaty, so we can't do a search for that. So it's going to be interesting.
Yes.
So after breakfast, let's beetle on over to the council chambers and find Lady Noel.
All right. So we head out into Lyria. All right. As we head out, we do notice the fact that there is a considerable more of a watch presence at the moment. So,
Yes, I'm sure almost everybody's on duty at this point, searching
yes.
for stuff.
So clearly there is an official investigation at work at the moment.
Yes. Not surprising.
No. So we head towards the council chambers.
Yep.
All right. So we are going to look for Lady Noel.
Well, we're gonna not look for her. We're gonna find a page or someone in charge and tell them to direct us directly there now, please.
All right. Needless to say, it doesn't take too long with the current atmosphere at the moment.
Yeah.
And once you explain that we're here to aid with the investigation, we're taken to see her.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that she is apparently overseeing the current investigation within the actual council chambers itself, she is in her own personal chambers at the moment and is clearly overseeing in the sense, like from a managerial position and not actually carrying out the investigation herself.
So this is Hector's mother?
Aunt.
Aunt. Okay.
Yes. Not quite direct nepotism.
Yeah. I want to do an insight check on her the second I see her.
All right. Roll insight.
Oh, finally. Natural 20.
Yeah, that beats her roll. Despite the fact that she is presenting herself as clearly someone who basically with a strong face and it can weather any storm or uh, whether any storm or any trouble, she is clearly a little concerned by the current situation. It is difficult to tell which has her more concerned, the loss of the treaty or the loss of her nephew. But you can clearly tell that she has, much like Aldrich and Damocus, probably not slept at all since the incident occurred and was probably, given the fact that she probably would not have been here so late at night, probably had been woken, brought to the council chambers to oversee things and hadn't. Right. So probably has been up for quite a bit and had interrupted sleep.
All right. I come up to her and I say, introduce ourselves and say, yes. Aldrich has attached us to this investigation. First off, hopefully your nephew is going to show up and be well and happy. Secondly, we need to see his chambers and we need to get this started as quickly as possible.
Just, yes. Says, obviously, I will have someone show you to his chambers. You may investigate to as best as you see fit. She says, however, I will point out that that was naturally the first place we searched.
I know.
All right.
All right. Go to the chambers.
Yes. So there is a graphic for that.
Oh, cool. This one?
Yes, this one.
Hey, lots of books.
Well, yes.
Scrolls, a book. And I assume there's people in here.
There are people in here at the moment, though once it's clear that we're going to be investigating here at the moment, they all leave for the moment to allow us to... They basically all step out of the hall to allow us to investigate unimpeded.
All right.
The only other main difference between this actual graphic and his actual office is this is not neat and tidy. Clearly, people have been going over this place with a fine-tooth comb.
All right. I'm going to get out the glasses of minute seeing.
All right, you put on your glasses,
Yep. Start with a desk and work my way around.
and I will roll an independent investigation check.
Oh, the numbers are sucking again. 12.
I rolled an 11.
Wow. Wasted a natural 20 on an insight check.
All right. So we find nothing of note in his chambers. Just to be thorough, we also check outside in the hall, just outside his,
Yep.
because anyone coming, we don't even with those low rolls, we don't find any other way in or out of here apart from the main door. Then
Yep.
again, we rolled really low. So if there is a secret passage, we certainly wouldn't find it.
True enough.
Nevertheless, from that roll, we would discern the fact anyone wanting to enter Hector's chambers would have to come in through the same door that he left by.
All right. The only other thing I can think of is to try and search for some sort of track, but there's tons of people going in and out of here,
Yes.
but it is still a possibility. I'm going to go to the hall mostly. I'm going to look for something different, like someone that left a track that might have been, I don't know, mud maybe, weird footprint.
Yeah. All right. So this is survival, not investigation.
I have survival.
Yes.
I take it the glasses don't help with
The
survival
glasses
checks.
do not help with survival. They are for investigation checks only.
Can I have your help?
I will assist you for as much as that is worth.
It is worth another die.
Yes.
That's what it's worth. Never mind. I don't have as many pluses on survival, and I rolled highest number was a 6. There's going to be no chance of me finding that something that
All right.
specific
So I
with all.
believe that's a 10
Yeah.
in total. There's been a lot of foot traffic,
Oh yeah, I know.
and it's rained
It's a long shot.
last night. It did not freeze over, which is the one thing you've noticed, but that does mean there's lots of water and mud.
Yep.
People have tracked things through here, and possibly including us.
Yep. I know.
Yes.
I knew it was a bad roll the second I looked at it.
At this point, you see two people coming down the corridor, one of which you recognize as the clerk who showed us into Noel's chambers and showed us to here. And he's
Yep.
bringing someone else with him who clearly is not a civil servant based on his appearance. He's an older man and clearly looks like he's in clothes that would normally be more of a working individual's clothes.
Okay.
Is the clerk says, "This is the commissioner who also was involved in the search last night. If
The coffee
Lady
guy.
Noel thought you might want to speak to him to get what his side of the story."
Yes. I would like to know more about the interactions with this clerk that was doing the writing and what was the delay for the coffee, the reasons why he went down to talk to you, all that sort of stuff.
Right. He says, "Well, I received word for the for Mr. for Sir Hector's coffee." It says at a bit before midnight. Says I was putting the coffee on to boil. Says I was just waiting to brew when it says this is rather embarrassing. It says, but it must have been so late last night, and I was so drowsy I fell asleep in my chair waiting for it to boil. I didn't know anything was wrong until Hector came and see me and woke me up. Says
Insight.
insight. All right.
14.
All right, 14. Well, I am clearly not very awake at the moment, but 14. Near as you can tell, he's being quite honest. Though, given the fact that he had slept through most of this, some of the events might be a little groggy in his memory. He too does not look like he's had a lot of sleep.
So insight is wisdom, right?
Inside his wisdom, yes.
Yeah.
All right. Says it says it. However, it says after Hector woke me, the bell to the commissionaire's office rang again. Says, so after I woken up, I saw that his coffee was still boiling on the stove where I left it, and had quite boiled quite close to evaporating at that point. Unfortunately,
Yep.
he says, I asked Sir Hector. I says, if he was here talking to me, then who was it that was ringing from his chambers?
Hmm.
Says, upon hearing this, he went quite pale and raced out of the room. He says, I decided to follow. He says, just because clearly something was wrong. We came in and he began searching his chambers and he demanded I help him search. I didn't know what we were looking for, but a few moments later, he collapsed to his knees on the floor and let out a cry. He says, at which point, Sir Damocus, whose quarters they're just beside Sir Hector's, came in, and we attempted to calm him as best as we could, but he was inconsolable and in a pitiable state. Says it was Sir Damocus who decided that if apparently a missing treat something very important papers had gone missing. He says, and Sir Damocus said that we needed to split up and search the council hall for it and the potential thief.
Right.
We set about that. He says, and we set up to locate watch officers. I remember Sir Damocus suggested that, and during the search, he seems to have vanished.
Is there any other way in and out of this place besides the obvious corridors? You're commissioner here. You must know most of the
Says, well, there's a lot
group.
of halls here, and they wind around, but there are only really two main entrances. He says the main doors, which always have someone on of a guard on watch at all hours. They're always manned. And then there is the tradesman's entrance, which servants such as myself use. It's not usually manned, but it usually is. It's not too far from my office. It says, and it is an old door. It usually is not something anyone can just come in by. It's usually locked from the out at those hours as well.
All right, show me the door.
Yeah.
I want to go to the tradesman's door and I want to check it for possible tampering like we've had recently with our door.
He shows us to the door,
Yep.
and I assume you're going to take out your glasses of minute seeing
Yep.
and examine them. Okay.
All right. Finally, a better number 24.
All right. Uh, uh, you do find signs that this lock has been picked.
Yep.
It is open now. Obviously, it's not unlocked.
Mhm.
Given the nature of given the frantic nature of their search, they may have overlooked it when they were searching about.
Yep.
But someone has clearly, with considerable more care and finesse than the previous attempt on our quarters last night.
Yep.
But nevertheless, this lock has been picked, and in all likelihood, this is a way in, and all likelihood a way out forever. The thief.
Okay. Is there a lot? Well, it rained, right?
Yes, it rained.
So I am going to look for tracks anyway. I know it's a long shot, but I'm going to do a survival check looking for possible tracks of someone who came in might have tracked in some mud.
Yeah.
Who knows? Gonna go for it. Never mind. So,
What did you
someone
roll?
came in through here.
What did you roll?
5 plus a few things.
Okay, so not enough.
No, 4, I think. Plus 4. Yeah,
Yeah.
not even close.
Yes, so this seems to be the most likely point of entrance and egress.
Yes, but someone got in without being seen. Doesn't mean magic's been used.
No.
Then again, the guard fell asleep.
Well, the commissioner fell asleep, yes.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, which could mean that he was had sleep cast on him.
Yep.
Well, you use that spell. Do I? And I've made potions for that sort of effect. Does he look like he could have been under that kind of influence?
This will,
Be a really difficult check, I know.
yes, this is probably a medicine check based on what you're asking for.
Not
But you
Arcana.
may.
You sure?
I'm fairly certain because you're not asking about any real. I know you're asking about some magical effects, but you're looking for the after effects of a spell or a potion. That does feel more medicine.
Never mind. Broke 10 this time, but barely.
I have a good idea. And I said, well, we probably wouldn't have been able to detect if a sleep spell had been cast on him anyway. It says, but if it is a potion or some other form of drug, those are usually ingested. I say,
Hmm. Suppose I could do an investigation on whatever mug he was drinking out of.
do you want to ask him that?
Yeah, show me what you're drinking out of.
It says, well, fortunately, his basically his he has basically a tea kettle set up
Yeah.
in the commissionaire's office, and he has his own mug to drink from, and it's still there because he's been running around frantically and hasn't had a lot of time for it.
All right. I am going to get out my alchemical gear.
Yes.
I am going to, well, basically have an examination of his tea.
All right. This will again be a medicine check.
Even though I'm looking for, never mind.
We've discussed that alchemy and those sorts of things fall under medicine in this. I can assist you if you want.
17.
17. All right. As you separate out the tea from whatever else is in it, you do are left over with an alchemical compound. It is different from the sleeping potion, you know.
Yep.
It's not that strong, but it is but you are able to recognize it with that as being some form of basically, for all intents and purposes, sleeping powder with or a soporific powder with alchemical origins.
Okay.
Uh, Basically, it's been laced into his tea, and it would be strong enough to slowly lull someone who is already drowsy to sleep, but weak enough to not keep someone under. And you suspect it's also probably weak enough to be passed through one's digestive system relatively quickly.
Mm.
But from this, you were able to determine that someone wanted to make sure that the commissioner passed out.
Question is, when was it added to his tea?
Well, I assume he would have noticed it had it been put in while he was drinking from his cup.
So, oh yeah,
Yeah.
someone came in and somehow was undetected and added material to his coffee or, sorry, his tea,
Yeah.
or had someone in this building had set this up, added it to his whatever leaves he's using for his tea so that when he brewed his tea, he would put
Yes.
himself to sleep.
Yes. Just like I said, clearly
Okay.
someone whoever the thief is someone with considerable intelligence and preparation.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the latter because I think this would require preparation, and that means that someone had access to this building during the day
Yes.
or evening. At some point in time where someone walking by this guard post would not be considered unusual.
Yes.
All right, so who do we trust in all this to talk to? Well, none of these people.
Yes, clearly, I said, clearly we're going to have a large number of suspects, I suspect.
Yeah. All right. Is there a sign-in registry for when people come in and out of this building? They often do that in public buildings.
Says,
Uh,
yes.
I'm gonna go to the main desk,
Yeah.
look at the registry, write down the names of people who came
Yeah.
and
Are you gonna write
went.
down all the names?
Well, yeah, just for yesterday.
Yeah, you're going. That still could be quite a few people. All
Yeah, I'll write them down.
right.
And then hold on a second. Let's whoever's at the desk.
Yes.
Is this person a regular?
All right. So you want you're going to go through. All right. This is going to be a roll.
No, no, no. I mean, the person at the desk is someone of senior.
Someone who is regularly employed. Yes. To
Yeah, someone who's been here for a while. And what I want to ask them is look at these names and eliminate all the ones who are either on the council, high-ranking officials that have been here forever, and leave me with a much shorter list, hopefully, of individuals who are either relatively new or that you haven't seen before.
All right. All right. Well, based on what you're asking, yeah, man, basically explaining what we're looking for, obviously.
Well, sort of, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, well, excluding high-ranking individuals, but it says, well, Hector's name obviously stands out because he would have come in every day to work on
Yeah.
the treaty. Damocles came in around the same time. It says, one name that stands out says, yes, occasionally, it says at least a few times, Immorel, it says an elvish ambassador came in because he was asked to come in because, well, obviously as the treaty was concerning relations between Lyria and the Elven lands, I think he, at least on a few occasions, came in and helped Hector with writing the draft. It says,
Was he here yesterday?
he looks through it and says, yes, he was, but he left. Uh, it says well before the theft occurred.
Uh, that guard, the commissioner that had the drug tea, is he with us at the moment?
Uh, no, but you can have him summoned if you want.
No, I'm not going to arouse too much of anything going on here. Were there any other names that this individual didn't recognize?
He's looking through them and says, no, he says no one else, no other names stand out really.
Okay, so this is the only new person.
Yes, he says he did show up a few times over the past week when the treaty was being worked on. But
All right, gonna go back to that commissioner
yes,
and ask him if you remember talking to this Ilmarel person
all right. He says, so once you bring it,
yesterday.
he says, no, I have rarely, rarely crossed paths with ambassadors.
Did you see him?
Uh, says, I think I might have seen him maybe once. It says during my rounds. That's about it.
All right, and I head out. Oh, as I'm heading out, is there an embassy for the Elven nation here in town?
It says,
That's somebody who's an
yeah, one
official.
of the clerks. I don't believe there's an official embassy. Usually, the elves come and go. It's been quite a long time since any ambassadors have come here. It says, I guess they would have been sent for, or it says,
Do
but
you
no, I don't believe there.
know where the ambassador is staying?
Uh, no, no one seems to be aware of that. It says,
Okay.
yeah.
Out we go.
There we go.
Gonna go find Aldrich, but as I'm going,
Yep.
did I get it? I assume I have a bit of a description of what this guy looks like.
Yes.
I have an owl on my shoulder,
Yes, he's
and
a finely dressed high elf.
I am going to try and hopefully spot the individual. 18.
You do not spot anyone in the immediate vicinity. No,
Okay.
matching that description.
I am going to go find Aldrich, fill him in, let him know that someone has drugged the tea, someone has picked the lock,
Yep.
someone has obviously planned this.
Yes. All right. So as we go through that, Ludwig says, "Yes, our investigation hasn't progressed very far. Damocus has been had his statement taken, and as Thalia would put it, has been allowed to go about his duties. But he is clearly a person of interest, as she would put it, according to the term."
Okay. There is an ambassador from the Elven lands in town.
He goes, "Yes, I think I did hear something about that."
Any idea where he's staying?
He goes, uh, he rubs his eyes and he says, "No," he says, "then again," he says, "I don't often have to interact very much with the ambassadors. Usually the council deals with that specifically."
All right. Filled you in. Back we go. I want to find someone high up in the council.
Well, the one person that we know who's high up in the council will probably be Lady Noel. And
All right.
since she would be probably dealing with everything involving the treaty anyway, seems to have been put in charge of the matter, or at least overseeing it.
Okay. I'm going to ask her directly and keeping an eye on her as she responds. I need to find where Ilmarel is staying. And do you know where he is lodging during his stay here?
Bitch says, "Well, Immarel," she said, correcting your pronunciation.
Whatever. I'm not an elf.
Yeah. Is she says, "I believe he is staying outside the city, but I do not know beyond that."
Insight check.
All right.
14.
All right, you beat her roll. She seems to be honest, but it's basically almost just like she's not sure why you're asking, and she doesn't see really why it's very important to the matter.
Well, she doesn't know where he's staying, but it's
Not
not in
specifically,
town.
no. And she seems a little confused about why you're asking about that.
It's fine. I'll leave her confused.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna head out away from her
Yep.
because I have a suggestion.
Yes.
There can't be a whole lot of high elves wandering around out in the suburbs.
Well, we've seen a few elves in the city, so there is an elven population.
Yep,
However, a high elf ambassador is probably going to stand out.
yep. You
So
have locate creature prepared.
I do have locate creature prepared. I also technically have locate object prepared. However, I've not seen this treaty up close.
Yeah.
Also, given the fact that the council would have able to seek out the Academy's aid, I assume magical divination magic was one of the first things they thought of.
Yeah, I don't think the scroll or whatever is here. I think
No.
it's been removed, but it may not have been removed far enough away yet.
Yes.
I would suggest that we hop on our brooms, head out into the suburbs, and then you cast
Locate
uh,
creature.
locate creature aiming for high elf, and
Which
then
could lead us to anyone.
it's possible that we're just going to bump into a whole pile of high elves.
Yes.
But I have a sneaky suspicion that not a whole lot of high elves out in the suburbs.
I said the question that keeps coming in my mind is who is responsible for this theft. Well, I suppose technically if the this treaty was meant to counteract the dragon as a potential threat, well, I suppose that is it, and it's been well planned by someone with great intelligence and clearly some magical capabilities.
I figure the dragon is.
It's worth considering, I suppose. It makes sense that a creature of its intelligence and capabilities would probably not take kindly to any countermeasures against it.
Well, if it is the dragon,
Yeah.
we're screwed.
Yes. I'm just going over other possible suspects. Hector is obviously another one. He's disappeared mysteriously. That looks suspicious. But as I said before, if he wanted to abscond with this treaty, one, I suspect he'd wait until it was finished, and two, he could simply have just departed with it without causing this drama.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It would just be one morning they couldn't find him, couldn't find the treaty, and
Yeah,
that
that
was
would
the end of
immediately
that.
that would obviously cast a lot of suspicion on him. But if he managed to get away in time, it wouldn't be a problem.
All right. Obviously, someone does not want this treaty to happen.
Yes.
Two possibilities are someone in Lyria who wishes it ill. The
Yeah.
other option is someone from the Elven lands who doesn't want to get involved with a dragon.
Mhm.
And the third, and hopefully not the possibility, of course, is that the dragon doesn't want this to happen.
And a fourth possibility, I suppose, who else benefits if Lyria is weak and distracted at the hands of a dragon? Well, we always have Ulrichs in the court while we're just listing suspects.
Yeah.
There's no real evidence pointing towards them, but nevertheless, if there's anyone who benefits from Lyria being distracted and weakened, it's them.
Well, if you want to throw stuff on the pile, there's the league as well.
The Legion of the Iron Fist.
Yeah,
We still do not know what exactly their interests in Lyria are, though.
I know.
That's more vague.
So
Nevertheless, we clearly have a bunch of suspects to and look into, and not many leads, unfortunately, thus far.
no, see the problem is
Mm.
uh, we're we don't really have any firm motivations. It's not like it's something that someone can sell. It's not like there's uh, any monetary value whatsoever in
There
this.
was no mention of of a ransom or anything for the treaty.
No, so someone is trying at most to delay any interactions because they can always just write another one.
Yes, the fact that Hector's gone missing also means he's involved somehow. If he isn't responsible, then I suspect he's a victim and possibly held captive by this individual as well.
The only reason to take him hostage,
Is to delay matters further, I guess.
yeah, that's about all it would do. That's the problem here, right?
Yes.
This is not going to, prevent any kind of elvish alliance. It's just going to slow things down.
Yes, it's hampering things, and Lyria at the moment probably this treaty was probably being put together, if nothing else, as just a response to show that the Council of Lyria was actually doing something to deal with the dragon. It might have eventually resulted in a solution, but I think before then it would just have been used to try and calm everyone down.
So someone wants the general population, they can just lie to them.
I was just it just comes down to the fact that the only person the only thing that really seems to benefit from this theft of this treaty is the dragon. We are
All right.
grasping at straws, though. We don't have enough information yet.
Nope.
All right, so I think we should take your advice and follow the one lead we have, which is that ambassador.
Well, he's not around. He hasn't shown up today.
Yeah.
So it's a good place to start. And
Yes.
otherwise,
Then
we have
again, it is
nothing.
entirely possible that an Elvish ambassador might not want to get involved in this, based on all the.
True.
I imagine this has not been kept this quiet, despite everyone wanting it to be.
And also, even though he may not want to get involved in it, he is involved in it.
Yes.
And an ambassador has to, well, do ambassador duties. He has to show up. He has to, you know,
Yes.
do what he needs to do, what he's expected to do. And he hasn't done that. So either he's somewhere where he doesn't hear about it or he's involved. Anyway,
All
let's
right.
go find him.
All we have is theories. We don't have enough clues yet to point to anything, so I think you're right. We should probably go look into that.
All right, hop out of rooms.
Yep. We
Head
hop in
out
our brooms. We fly out towards
inside.
Lyria, towards the outside, and I think now is a good time for us to take our break.
Yeah, because that's a big place to try and look.
That's a big area to search, yes.
All right.
All right, then. So we're going to come back here after our break, and we'll resume our search for this Elven ambassador.
Yep.
See you in a few moments.